Hello and welcome to the Learning Crypto YouTube channel. A red week in the market this week, and in this video I'm going to explore the reasons why I think we may be in for more downside over the coming weeks, what levels we could hit on Bitcoin, Ethereum, what that means for the altcoins, particularly the 5 altcoins that we've got on the watch list at the moment, which I went through just 2 weeks ago and did some analysis. So an update on where we are with those, and also what that means for the bigger picture in terms of Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum BTC, and those alt BTC pairs. So let's get straight into it. As we can see, a quick recap of what we've had so far this week. So as I talked about in Monday's video, we did get a weekly close on Bitcoin over the previous all-time highs of around 69k, which initially looked pretty good. However, as you can see, it looks like it may well be a bit of a fake out deviation. We've got this strong red weekly candle at the moment. We are still holding above the 236 on the February tracement, which is about 65.5k on the weekly time frame. So wouldn't get too worried just yet until we get a weekly close below that, or if we do, a weekly close below 65.5k, and I think that opens the door down to a deeper retracement of the 382 at around 60.5k, which is where we hit about 2 weeks ago, just before the FOMC. So keep an eye on that weekly candle close as we go towards the end of the week. In terms of the daily time frame, as we talked about on Monday, this key level of support and resistance here around between 68.5 and 69k. We're holding it as support all the way up to last weekend, and then as you can see, tested it as support Monday, held, and then Tuesday, big drop. We recovered over the past 2 days, but this level has flipped to resistance, held as resistance yesterday. As you can see, we spiked up to about 69.5k, come back down, and the daily candle closed below it. And as you can see, today we are having quite a red day. So if we continue this decline, the level that we really need to see hold is around 63k. If we lose that, then I think we are heading down to that 60.5k. And as I say, if we get that weekly close below 65.5k, then I think we will eventually trade down there. So keeping an eye on that. If we just break down to the lower time frames and see what happened yesterday. So as you can see, strong US session. Got up to about 69.6k at around 7 o'clock UK time. Dropped down, had another spike up at around midnight, but as you can see, we could not get that daily close above this level of resistance, and we have rejected since, making lower highs and lower lows on these lower time frames as well. So not looking good in the short term. We'll have to keep our eyes on that weekly candle close, as I say. If we move on to, or in fact, just quickly show you the futures. We did fill that CME gap that we talked about on Monday. Thought that, you know, after that bounce, that maybe could have been the bottom, a local bottom. Just fill that CME gap and away we go. But as you can see, not looking like the case today. If we move on to Ethereum, so let's start on the higher time frames on the weekly. Again, we had a positive weekly candle close last week. We'd closed over this resistance of 3550. We were holding the 236 as support. It was all looking good. However, this week, big drop, as you can see, bit of a bearish engulfing candle forming, and we are heading down to this 382, which is at 3063, which is where we bottomed a couple of weeks ago in mid-March. So weekly candle closed below 3063, and we could well see a retrace all the way down to the 618 at 2.5k, which, if we just get our tool here, would be almost a 40% decline from the highs, which would be an awesome opportunity to jump in my personal opinion. Not financial advice, of course, but I think ETH at 2,500, you know, could be a very good buy. But we are still quite a way away from that. As I say, weekly candle close below 3,060, and then that may well open the door. If we go down to the daily time frame, again, we lost this level of support here on the daily time frame at around 3,525 on Tuesday. We're in this level of support at the moment here at around 3,250, but it's not looking good. If we get a daily close below 3,250, then I think that opens the door down to these lows down here at 3,063. And then, as I say, on the weekly time frame, weekly close below that, we could go even lower. On Ethereum, as we know, we closed that CME gap, but we are now lower than that now. So that is, you know, that chapter is closed. Moving on then to Bitcoin dominance. Let's take a look at this. So this is finally doing something. If we go to the monthly time frame, so I've been talking about this the last, well, few weeks, couple of months, about how this may well be a top for Bitcoin dominance. However, it's looking like that may not be the case in terms of we've not made, we've not rolled over, we've not rejected from this level. We are just holding it for now as resistance, but it's looking like as things drop, Bitcoin dominance is starting to increase, and we could see a breakout here and head up to this sort of 57% area, which of course wouldn't be good for ETH BTC, which itself is showing weakness. So again, over the past couple of weeks, couple of months, I've been talking about ETH BTC holding these monthly range lows, which is a good sign. However, as you can see, we are starting to break down now. We've failed to break this monthly trend line, as you can see, and we are starting to break down from these monthly range lows. So unfortunately, we've got a long wait to the monthly candle close. So we could get another fake out, could be another big spike, big candle wick, and then shoot back up. But at the moment, as you can see, not looking good on the weekly time frame either. So I think if we start to get weekly candle closes below these monthly range lows, we've not really had we haven't had a weekly candle close below 0.05 yet. So if we do get that this week, then that may signal weakness in the ETH BTC pair and strength in the Bitcoin dominance. And we could see Bitcoin dominance go up to 57%, which will obviously hit alt BTC pairs quite hard. If we take a look at the total two, as we've talked about before, are we going to see a pullback and a decline on the total two in terms of altcoins? So this is the total market cap of crypto excluding Bitcoin. So we could see this decline that I've talked about down to 940 billion. This big level of support, of course, it is an index, so take it with a pinch of salt, the technical analysis, but you can see this level has been very well respected. So we could see a decline down here, which would complete this sort of cup and handle pattern, and then we could see a takeoff from there. So it looks like it's playing out for now. Let's see what happens if and when we get down there. And then finally, going over the reasons why I think we may be in for more downside, as we can see on the S&P. So crypto quite tightly tied to the traditional markets. The S&P had a big drop yesterday. If we actually go down to the daily time frame, you can see that we gapped up from Wednesday's close up to yesterday's open, and then a big bearish engulfing candle, which is not a good look. We may well finally be seeing a pullback on the traditional markets, particularly the S&P, which has been on an absolute tear since October. As you can see, barely a pullback. So we could see that pullback finally happen. If we go to the monthly time frame, you can see that the previous all-time highs at 4,818 line up very nicely with the 382 fib retracement when you draw it from the October lows up to the current all-time highs. So we could well see that pullback, which would be around, I think it's about 10%, but not even that, it's about 8-9%, which would be a very healthy pullback, retest previous all-time highs, the 382 on the fib, and then take off. So it may well drag crypto down with it. As well, if we take a look at the NASDAQ, same situation, go to the daily, you can see we had another gap up, big bearish engulfing candle, not a good look. If we go to the monthly time frame, again, previous all-time highs of 16,764 line up very nicely with the 382 on the fib when you take it from the October lows up to the all-time highs. So weakness in the traditional markets. We've got the Bitcoin halving, of course, this month, and the whole selling may go away narrative from the traditional markets that may have been brought forward a few weeks or being front run. So we could see downside across all markets, a bit of a cooling off, ready to reset, grab some liquidity, and then take off again in the coming month or two. We'll have to wait and see. So what does that mean for altcoins? Let's take a look. So 2 weeks ago, I picked these 5 altcoins as they were some of the best performing assets in the market at the time. And I talked about drawing a fib from the January lows up to the current current local highs. And then essentially, not financial advice, of course, again, but taking a look at in a bull market, a very profitable strategy is to buy the dips on the fib retracement. So as I say, you draw up a fib, you dollar cost average at the 236, 382, 0.5, and then if you're lucky enough, the 618 and the 786, and it should, obviously in a bull market, you should end up becoming quite profitable in a swing trade environment. Obviously very low leverage, probably spot is best, so you're not having to worry about funding fees and of course the leverage, so getting liquidated. And as you can see, let's go through them now. So we're on ADA. If we take a look at the fib, you can see we are looking at breaking below the 618, which is around 60 cents. We've had multiple tests of this level over the past few weeks, so I would not be surprised if we come down here, scare people, get down to the 786, which is about 52 cents. Big level of support, as you can see. and that could be a nice bounce area. What we really don't want to see is that level to be lost. We don't want to see it retest these levels down here at 45 cents, because these are obviously the lows of the most recent impulse. Really don't want to see those retested and lost, because that would lose all momentum, and then you got to be quite worried about the state of whether you're going to see a recovery or not. So down into this 786 area around 50 cents would be good, even if it's a deep wick below and then zip back up. That looks like a very good entry, so keep your eyes on that. We take a look at BNB, showing very good strength compared to the rest of the market. You can see it's still holding the 236. It's not even broken below that yet, but if we do start to come down, the big important level for me on BNB is 445. Don't want to see this level of previous resistance now flip to support to be lost, as I give away too much ground, too much momentum. So, and the reason I say earlier about dollar cost averaging into the 236, 382, 0.5, and then the 618, 786 if you're lucky, is because, as you can see, some pairs are stronger than others. So the BNB may not even see the 382 or the 0.5. So if you dollar cost average at each level, you at least get some, maybe not all of them hit, but you can't time the bottom. You don't know where the bottom's going to be. So if you just dollar cost average into each level, then eventually when things turn around, as I say, only in a bull market, then it should be quite a profitable strategy. Moving on then to DOT. Let's zoom into the chart. So we've lost this level, or looking to lose this level of what's that, $8.96, which I thought was a pretty decent level of support. I thought we were going to hold that and then zip up to $15-16, which is the next level. As you can see, doesn't look like that's the case. We're now down at the 618, so if you had an order there, that should be filled. And now I think we could well see this $7.42 level get tested. Again, that's my important level to hold. Really don't want to see price get back below there and start retesting these lows of around $6.50. Again, gives up too much momentum, too much ground. It's 786 on the fib. Don't really want to see these levels retested. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But I think a retest of $7.50 would be a very good entry for a trade, or as I say, an additional dollar cost average ready for the next leg up. Move on to NEAR, and again, as you can see, NEAR holding up much better than DOT and ADA, still holding the 382 here at $6.50. So we may well see a wick down into this next weekly level of about $5.76. And again, this is why I say an entry at each level, because it may not get down to the 618 or 786. It may well just hold this level here at $5.76. As you can see, key level, previous resistance, now flipping to support. Again, though, if we do break down, important level to hold is this $3.69 level for me. Again, big level of previous resistance and support, and you don't want to lose that and start retesting these lows from January. Gives away too much momentum. And then finally, Rose. This is now on the 618. Again, big level of support, as you can see. So if you had an order there, that should be filled around, what's that, $12, $12.5 is what I mean to say. Maybe $12.5 one day. But yeah, 12.5 cents. You can see my important level to hold is just slightly lower at 10.7 cents. So yeah, let's see if it does get down there. And if it does, hopefully it holds, maybe a wick below just to shake people out, scare people. But if we do see a wick below and then close back above, I think that is a very bullish setup. Again, don't really want to see weekly closes below this and start attacking these levels down here. Don't really want to see Rose get a weekly close below 10 cents. So let's see what happens. As I say, maybe in for a bit more red for another couple of weeks, going into the halving, going into the selling may go away narrative, and with traditional markets selling off. These are the levels that I'm looking at. Put in the comments below what levels you're looking at. What do you think is going to happen over the next couple of weeks and months? And what assets are you looking to dollar cost average into this dip? So have a good weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one.